Welcome our speakers for this evening, manga artist Ishizuka Shinichi and his editor Katsuki Dai, who are joining us all the way from Japan. I'm also really pleased to welcome our chair for this evening, who will be leading this discussion, Nicole Coolidge-Roumanier, IFAC Handa Curator of Japanese Arts at the British Museum, lead curator of the museum's City Exhibition Manga, and Professor of Japanese Arts at Sainsbury Institute in the University of East Anglia. This event is in celebration of the British Museum's City Exhibition Manga, which is currently running until the 26th of August. We want to express our deep gratitude to the Great Britain Sasakawa Foundation, who've supported the costs of Ishizuka Shinichi and Katsuki Dai coming over from Japan. We'd also like to thank our partners for this event, Japan Foundation, the Sainsbury Institute for the Study of Japanese Arts and Cultures, and of course, the British Museum. In particular, many thanks to Nicole Coolidge-Roumanier and Hiromi Uchida, who have worked with us to make this event happen. Please note that both artist and editor will be speaking in Japanese, and they'll be live interpreting into English by our wonderful interpreter, Karasawa. There'll be a chance for you to ask questions at the end, and you can also buy the City Exhibition manga book if you haven't done so already. The artist and editor are also going to be signing the book after this talk. I'm now going to hand over to Nicole, who's going to take this conversation forward. So please join me in giving a very warm round of applause to our speakers. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. And I know it's beautiful weather out there, but I think you're in for a very wonderful hour and something with Ishizuka Sun and Katsuki Dai. We were really keen when we did this manga exhibition that we bring these two people together. What's interesting for me as the lead curator, but I'm also working with two other very good curators who are in this room to create the manga exhibition, Uchida Hiromi and Matsuba Ryoko. And when we're working on this exhibition rather intensively for 2 years, and what became very apparent to us was the relationship between the editor and the artists, and that relationship is what creates manga. I think naively we were thinking, oh, well, the manga artist creates the manga and then they publish it, and obviously there's some editorial process, but it's really the artist, and it's the artist's volition, and then that creates it. But we've come to realize at least 50% is the editorial process, the publishing house. And we really wanted to show that. I think that's something that the British Museum exhibition can show is how manga are created. And in addition to that, what was interesting is when we were meeting the manga artists and the editors, we saw there were very many different types of relationships, but there was a really symbiotic relationship between Ishizuka sensei and Katsuki-san. There was something that they really worked organically together. And so this is why we feel incredibly lucky and very grateful to Asia House and Sasakawa Foundation for being able to bring them here and to show this to you, because this really is about the creative process. And it's also, what's nice is we're going to actually see Ishizuka-san is going to draw some things for us, and we're going to talk about how that works. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is introduce them and then introduce the Blue Giant Supreme, the work that they're doing, creating together right now, and then we'll get into discussion with some drawings and then questions at the end. First of all, to introduce Ishizuka Shinichi.
Ishizuka Shinichi と申します。It's a great honor to be here in London because this place is a cultural center of the world, so I'm really lucky. So thank you for inviting us tonight, and we read manga to forget about life for a little while, so let's make it same way. Please relax, and if you have any question later, you can ask me anything you want, so thank you very much. Ishizuka-san
was born in 1971 in Ibaragi Prefecture. And he's created award-winning manga on mountaineering. Actually, the manga before this, it was called Gaku Mina no Yama, the peak, everybody's mountain. And then also for jazz, Blue Giant. And then now, what we're going to talk about mostly tonight is Blue Giant Supreme. He developed a passion for climbing when he was studying in the United States. He was in Illinois for a year, and then for 4 years in California at San Jose. Ishizuka-san for many years has worked with the same editor, Katsuki Dai, at Shoka Khan. And he's won acclaim for depicting his intense, heartfelt jazz performances in manga, and that's in part what we want to talk about tonight. He does play the saxophone himself, and he keeps it close when he's creating his Blue Giant Supreme. But it's more than just about jazz. We'll find out, but it has a kind of a deeper meaning for him. Now I want to introduce Katsuki Dai, his editor.
こんばんは、勝木です。今日は本当にお忙しい中、お集まりいただきましてありがとうございます。いろいろ楽しく話せればと思います。よろしくお願いします。
Hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'm sure you all have very busy lives, and I'm very grateful that you have taken time to come to listen to us. So thank you. Please enjoy our discussion.
Katsuki Dai is the editor supreme for manga magazines, including Big Comic Original, Weekend Shonen Sunday, and Big Comic at Shoga Khan. And he's worked with many top artists such as Hanawa Kazuichi, George Akiyama, and Kawaguchi Kaiji. But Katsuki-san was Ishizuka-san's first editor. So they started out this manga process together. And they created together Gaku Mina no Yama, so the mountain climbing one, and then also Blue Giant together. Then Katsuki-san worked on another project, but then came back and they created together Blue Giant Supreme, and they continue, they're determined to work together because it really does work as a combination. What's interesting is that he's from Sendai, and you'll see many different resonances as we talk about it. In fact, Miyamoto Dai is the hero of Blue Giant Supreme, and his name happens to be Katsuki Dai. And Miyamoto Dai comes from Sendai. In fact, Katsuki-san comes from Sendai as well. So there are just many little resonances you'll see throughout. But Sendai is where there's a large jazz street festival, but also there are just many different resonances about that. But what's interesting for us, particularly now, is that Blue Giant Supreme is bringing the jazz to Europe. So that what we're going to be talking about is a manga that takes place in Europe. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is first set the tone for us. And just wanted to focus on the exhibition. And I hope, how many of you, can you raise your hand, how many have seen the exhibition, the British Museum Manga exhibition? Okay, that's fantastic. And for those that haven't, you're in for a treat. When we have Blue Giant Supreme has its own space. And what we've done unusually, and what is going to be a bit of a feature today, is we have the drawings, the storyboard drawings, so part of the manga process. They're called name in Japanese, name. And we show them along with the drawings themselves. And the only example of that we have in the exhibition is with Ishizuka-san and Katsuki-san, because their relationship is so special. In general, those storyboards are not preserved. They're thrown away after the discussion. But we're very lucky. Shizuka-san has brought some with him, so we'll be seeing that today. Gesundheit. Yeah. So also we're very lucky because Ishizuka-san, he brought some things, he forgot his G pen, his nib pen. So he went out today with Katsuki-san and they chose one for tonight's, to draw. So we're in for a treat. Let's see. No, sometimes it's a little sticky. There. And what I have afterwards, I'll show you, they're just released the 8th volume, but they're up to 7 volumes. And we've brought them here today, and we'll see them later. But he's dedicated each one for us. But his drawing skills are impressive, so we'll see more of that in a moment. What I want to do is just say a little bit. This is when we first met him. This is with Uchida Hiromi, and we first came to Shoka Khan. And many of you may know the Shie from Akatsuka Fujio, this kind of, but this is when I first met him with his editor, and I realized that his heart is, Ishizuka-san's heart is really quite light and open and reactive. And then Katsuki-san is his, although he's got a playful heart, it's kind of like his anchor, so it works quite well. This is Shoka Khan. There are many different publishing houses in Japan, but the three big ones for manga, Shoka Khan, Shueisha, and Kodansha. There are other ones as well, but here we're focusing on Shoka Khan. Oops. And this is when I was actually coming to see Nakaguma-san, who we did an event with earlier at Japan House. It was another editor. And I was coming to meet him, and I actually caught them talking about their name, their storyboards right here. So I'm just going to show you a few pictures. We'll get into this later, but this is just a few pictures to see the process. So this is in a cell they have all these kind of little cells in Shoka Khan, and this is where the artist and the editors get together, and then they talk about what they're going to actually do. And so this, I'll give you another, this is a little bit of a close-up of, they're called name, and you see the kind of the drawings. They're just rough sketches of the drawings of the frames. And do you see the triangles? Do you see all those triangles? Do you know what the triangles mean? Any guess? It means out. Yes. So basically, you can see Katsuki-san is a tough taskmaster, but he's saying out, out, out. I'm drawing that as they're going on. So you can see a little bit more of the triangles and some of the other notes right here. And a little bit more, you see we have quite a number of triangles. But so basically, we'll go through the process, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a feeling for that. And then I want to give you a little feeling for the actual manga itself. And what's so impressive and what moved me was the way that sound is portrayed in his manga, in Ishizuka-san's manga. You actually feel it in your body. You're not hearing it, but we are hearing it. So I'm just going to give you a few examples. This is the latest issue that we have. This is the July 10th issue. The big comic comes out every 2 weeks, and we'll talk a little bit about the process. But I was really delighted when you open it. First thing you see, Blue Giant Supreme back in Berlin. And right here, oops, sorry. Yeah, back right here, it says, visiting London. London is the next stop. We're going to end with that. We're going to ask him, what does this mean? Is London on their trajectory? But here, sorry, let's go back one more. Here we've got the four characters. This is Miyamoto Dai, our hero right here, but they all have their own personalities from different countries, Germany, Poland, and Miyamoto-san obviously is Japanese. I just want to give you a few feelings for this, and then we're going to actually ask Katsuki-san to tell us a little about the storyline. But I want to just place us, and also just talk about how you read manga. I know all of you are aficionados, so you don't need this, so bear with me while we're talking about this. But you read manga from the upper right to the bottom left. And what's really important, so you read it this way in a way, but what's really important in Japan is looking not at one page, but 2 pages, the mihiraki, the double page, that's used as one palette. So right here, it's really wonderful. When you see, we start here, and we're reading it this way, so his eyes are looking out, and Miyamoto Dai is looking out, then looking back, then looking out, then we go up to the hand, then we go to the mouth speaking, then we have the whole, vision right here. So it's all carefully composed. I'm going to show you a few more. This is from the very start, when we open up on the first volume. And each story, sorry, right here, oops, sorry. Why does it, sorry, I'm not, yeah. Right here, it's Wonderland. I really like this because one of our themes in the manga exhibition is Alice in Wonderland. But this is actually, and while it probably was originally that, each theme is based on a song, a lyric, a title of a song, a jazz song to kind of give a resonance for the piece. And here, Miyamoto Dai is coming he lands in Germany trying to make his name to become the best jazz player tenor jazz player in the world. And we see him very early on. He has a bit of rough luck. It's not very, he's having a hard time, he's cold. And here, this is just one scene. I just want to show you how he's playing. He practices by the river edges in Munich. And you just see this movement. It's just fantastic. And this woman, this older German woman, is coming to listen to him. And then she offers him her gloves because his hands are so cold. I mean, it's just these beautiful little movements. Also, just wanted to talk, I mean, since we have the artist and the editor here, it's really interesting. I was asking, do you see this kind of whiteout around here? I was asking why, what is that? And he said actually, Ishizuka Sun said, if you draw it to the edge, it loses its tension, and you don't have the line quality right here, just doesn't stand out as much. You don't really feel the instrument as much. So he does all these little tips and tricks to really bring out the feeling of the drawing and the sound. But we can ask him other things earlier, and there'll be questions at the end, so please ask away. So we'll go to the next slide. And this is from the 4th volume right here. We have Hannah, and I particularly love this one. You just see the sounds. It's bo, bo, bong, bo, boom, 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 bo, and then the sounds just going down like this. Ishizuka Sun said, later he said, well, the bass was a little big, and someone asked him about this, and he said, well, her height's small. But the point is not that it's the actual size of the bass, it's the feeling of the bass. What he's trying to do is get the bass from, and you see the perspective is from down here, and it's going up. I'm going to show you something amazing in a moment. This is one of the stories towards on the 41st, and Clavier, this is actually from Bach, so it's not just all jazz. It's Bach, and here in this scene, we have them coming to use one of these public pianos in Frankfurt Airport. And the next one is the scene of what happens. They're doing a duet on it, and I particularly love this. So you see here, the sounds coming down here, and then here, it's a little bit competitive, and then here they're working together, and then I love the way that he's just made this a wraparound. You start to feel that, and then here they're next together, and what started out being a bit competitive actually works together. They're actually working together to create that sound. I want to show you finally, before we get into the discussion, just a run of consecutive images, of 4 images. And what's amazing about these 4 double spread images are there no words. And so when we look at this here, this is a German, it was in the Netherlands, a jazz festival, the Horst Jazz Festival, right here. And so just remember this in your mind, right here. This is right before they're starting. It's just starting. So a little bit nervous, starting here. Everyone's looking, nervous. Then he starts tapping. Tom, tom, tom. This is the next scene. So all of a sudden, we see that stage. Do you remember it? It's transformed. Do you see all of the sound like exploding? Then it's exploding out. Then we have this ba right here. And then we have the drums. We have the bass. We have the piano. This is my favorite. So we have here Miyamoto Dai. We see him. We see his fingers. We see his mouth. We see his fingers. We see the whole thing. And then we see this tremendous force. What I love is just this movement of the tenor sax. It's just going, wah, like that. Then we have the people looking, a little bit stunned. They're looking here. We have the whole band playing. They're looking. The tension is building. And we have here, it's going on, this amazing movement. We see him moving, twisting, concentrating. We have all the people looking. They're just surrounded in kind of a shower of sound. And then we end with the tapping of the feet of Bruno the pianist. So without that, now we've set the stage. We're going to ask Katsuki-san and Ishizuka-san some questions, getting into discussion, and find out a little bit more. So what I'd like to do is first ask Katsuki-san to tell us about the storyline.
ブルージャイアント・シュプリームの前にもともとブルージャイアントという、漫画がありまして、それは主人公の宮本大が仙台から東京に来て、トリオを組むという 話なんですけども、非常に人気のあった話なんですが、それがいろいろありまして、解散しまして、で、
Aaron.
Yes, so before Blue Giant Supreme, there was a manga called Blue Giant with the same protagonist, Dai Miyamoto. And that storyline of that Blue Giant went, he's from Sendai, he came to Tokyo to make it as a musician, he formed a band of trio, but the band, for many reasons, the band got disbanded. And so the storyline ended there.
それで、宮本大が、一人でドイツのミュンヘンにやってきて、メンバーを探し、一人ずつメンバーを見つけですね、お金もあんまりないし、英語も全然喋れないんですけども、なんとかメンバーを見つけて、今カルテットを組んでツアーを回っていると、少しずつ成功を収めるっていうようなのがストーリーラインですね。
So Dai moves to Munich to look for new opportunities in Europe, and he comes to Munich by himself. And he would try and look for band members there, but he doesn't speak much English, he doesn't have that much money, so he does struggle, but he would find a band member one by one. And now he forms a quartet with 4 other members, and then rise to the success slowly. That's the storyline of Blue Supreme Giant.
So, why jazz?
なぜジャズなんでしょうか。
なぜジャズなんですか。
なぜジャズですか。
ジャズが大好きなんです。
I love jazz. That's it.
やっぱり多分日本だけじゃなくてどこでも言われていることだと思うんですけど、ジャズプレイヤーの人たちも言ってるんですけど、ジャズはもう almost dead だと。なのでいやもっとジャズっていうのはすごいポテンシャルがあるからたくさんの人に聴いてほしいなと思ってゲートウェイになればいいと思ったんですよね。で始めました。
Yes, I don't think this is limited to Japan, but even jazz players tell me that jazz is almost dead in terms of music industry, and I feel it's such a shame. I don't really want this to continue, so I thought if this manga could be a gateway to the revival of jazz, that's really what I'd like to see.
あと個人的な話だと僕はテナーサックス好きなんですけど、有名なジャズプレイヤーでジョン・コルトレーンっていう人がいるんですけど、その人を僕が練習で超えるのは多分できないんですけど、漫画だったらできるすごいプレイヤーになれるのでちょっと夢がありましたね。
And more on a personal level, I love tenor saxophone, and I love the musician, tenor saxophone player called John Coltrane, and there's no way I could reach to his level or even surpass him with just practicing saxophone. But in manga, that's possible. So that's why.
It's a dream. It's a dream.
What I find really interesting about this manga is that the hero is, and I think either one of you, the hero is so young. Miyamoto Dai is really young. When you started with Blue Giant, he was in high school. And so when he comes to Germany, he's he's just out of high school. Can you tell me a little bit about what you were thinking? Or?
僕からでいいですか。やっぱりそれもジャズに関してよく言われるんですけど、ジャズを聴きたいなっていうとやっぱり少しあれは大人のミュージックだって言われることがよくあります。はい。
Yeah, that's related to the concept of jazz, actually. If I tell somebody that I like jazz, people are like, oh yeah, that's, for mature people, older people.
でも僕は多分小さい子でも分かると思うんです。5歳の子でもきっとジャズ連れてったら楽しめると思うし、でハイスクールぐらいのね子が好きになるとすごく広がっていくんじゃないかなと思って、若い主人公にしました。
But I think that's a misconception because I think jazz could be enjoyed by anyone, even a 5-year-old, or anybody who's in high school, sixth form. I think it could be enjoyed by them, and it could really cause, the world could open up for them. So I thought, that's why I decided the protagonist needs to be young.
So I want to ask both of you individually, what is the special character of this work, or what is this meaning of this work for you, as opposed to other types of manga?
勝木さんから。
どうなんでしょう。とても主人公がものすごく真摯なキャラクターで、とにかく練習をずっとしてるっていうのがやっぱ天才ではないのかな、少し天才とは違っていて、やっぱりずっと練習し続けるっていうのがすごい地味なんですけど、そこが逆に受けてるっていう部分もちょっとあるかなとは思いますね。それが、はい。
I think one thing that we could say about this protagonist is that he's so dedicated and committed to saxophone and jazz. He just practices endlessly. So it's not that he's a genius, he can do it without any practice. We see him practice over and over again. So that's one difference to other manga, but probably.
僕からも足すと、多分漫画とかドラマは事件性のものと、あと関係性のものに、大きく言ったら分かれると思うんですけど、なので事件性のものっていうのはゾンビが出てきたりエイリアンが襲ってきたりするんですけど、僕の漫画はそれがまずないです。
Yes, one thing if I were to add is there are two types of manga, two strands of manga. One is more focused on dramas and events, and the other is more focused on relationship. And on one strand of drama and events, like you would see zombies flying out of the planes, or somebody, some explosions happen somewhere in the world, but that would never happen with my manga.
それですごくリレーションシップ、関係性をすごくフォーカスしなきゃいけない漫画だと思ってて、はい。
But I do feel like my manga, the relationship is really at the core. You really need to focus on the relationship of each character.
でジャズにはソロっていうものがあるんですけど、
So there's a solo section in jazz music.
それはすごい個人的なものですよね。
But solo section obviously is very personal.
でもそれだと何もできないので、チームワークがすごい必要。なので人とチームを組む時には分かれるっていうのと、あとは個人の自分自身も頑張らなきゃいけないっていうところをすごく勝木さんと一緒に、この2人もチームなので、そういうものに特化してます。はい。
But you can't achieve everything with just a solo part in jazz. You need to work with other people, so teamwork is essential as well in order to succeed. And therefore, the characters will go through the solo part, the teamwork, and sometimes they disintegrate but come together again. So those kind of dynamics are very important with my manga. And that's not only for the characters, actually. We are a team too. So the manga artist and manga editors needs to work together. So and I do feel like our teamwork is essential for the success of this.
はい。
That's exactly what I wanted to actually get to next.
その
So
ことに
thank you.
次に
It's about
ぜ
the
ひご質問
team. What I wanted to find out is a little bit more about how you work together, the process, your creative process. And I don't know how many of you know about the manga publishing industry, but for example, ちょっとビッコミコいただけますか? So this is the latest volume of the story. Afterwards, we can see the books and the volumes, but you can see here there are 24 pages, and 24 pages of Blue Giant and 24 pages of the various stories are every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks they have to produce 24 pages. The pressure is on, and then that gets compiled and then becomes a book right now. So could you just tell us a little bit about actually how you physically create this within that 2-week period, how you work together to create this manga?
まず最初に1日まず勝木さんと2人で次の話をどうするかっていう打ち合わせがあります。
So one day we get together and discuss what next episode should be like.
で次は1日か2日 まあ、1日が理想なんですけど、1日か2日でこのネームっていうんですけど、こういう形にします、鉛筆で。はい。
And the next step is for 1 to 2 days, ideally one day, we create the name exactly like this, a rough sketch of this storyboard.
And if he said okay, then I can go to リアルね、これ。
Yeah.
はい。
Then now I can move on to the real sectioning of the
そう
manga.
でそれが、僕の場合は6日か7日か、絵がたくさんあると8日ぐらいかかります。
And the actual drawing of manga for me takes about 6, 7, maybe 8 days if there are lots of different, sections. But yeah, or lots of drawings that are required. But 6 to 8 days.
彼はすごく厳しいエディターですけど、でもなのですごく信頼してます。はい。
So Katsuki-san is extremely strict and fierce as an editor, but that's why I have so much respect for him and trust as well. Yeah.
So now we need to hear from Katsuki-san and his version.
まず最初に打ち合わせをするんですけども、作家さんによってはとても長い10時間とかそういう人もいるんですけども、僕たちはとにかく短くしようと10時間の打ち合わせより30分の打ち合わせの方が面白いというそれをとにかく頑張って、はい、短くするっていう努力を毎回して、でそれで、まあ、ネームがうまくいけばとてもいいんですけども、はい、なかなかまたそれは別の話で。
Yes, so we have the initial meeting, as explained by Shizuka-san, but the length of the meeting varies between like each manga artist and manga editors, but some of them have 10 hours worth of meetings, but we try and keep it as short as possible. So we aim for half an hour, because the meeting doesn't need to be that long, we believe. It's better to keep it short and then focus more on the actual creation of the stories. So yes, it's better to focus more on the name creation.
What about the storyline, though? The actual theme of the story for that next segment.
本当に2人とも会うまで全く何も考えないっていうことにしていて、打ち合わせまでは、はい。
We have an agreement, actually, that we try not to think anything about the next episode until we meet in that initial meeting.
会った時に、話して、そこでなんていうか思いつくというか。
But when we do, we start discussing, and then like we bounce off ideas off each other, and that's when the story begins to develop.
やっぱりちょっと考えるほどなんか良くない気がするという、はい、ちょっと変な話ですけども。
I don't think it's productive to stew over the ideas, actually. Like, and if I think too much just by myself, it doesn't seem to produce good results.
なんで短い打ち合わせで2人でもう本当に5分ぐらいで決まるときは決まるんで、それがベストかなというふうに思ってますけど。
And that's why we try and meet together and then start discussing and try and keep the meeting as short as possible. And when it seems right, the meeting ends in just 5 minutes as well.
So it's a little bit like jazz improvisation. Fantastic. Well, I wanted to ask, when we're looking at the name, and you have some of the storyboards right here, and we can look at those afterwards, and we have, let's see if we go back. Oh, actually, maybe if we go forward. If we could go back to the, let's see if we can, I'm not sure if we can we do that? Yes, fantastic. Just bear with me one moment while we get to our, I don't know why I'm sometimes, yeah, thanks. And yeah, I'm not pointing it to the right place. Okay, here, we've got, I think it's the next one. Did I go by it, actually? Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought we just went by it too much. It was the actual name. Sorry. No, I'm confused. Okay, I can't seem to find it. We had the names, the drawings there, but we've got some of the drawings here. And if you remember, he put some triangles on them. And looking actually at, yes, right here. Do you see all of the triangles right here? How do you decide that? What is that?
本当に余計なものがこのコマは本当に余計だなというだから減らしていきたい読みやすくしたいテンポを良くしたい
It's a marker for redundancy, really. Anything that seems unnecessary, we try and get rid of. So that's why.
It's interesting. It's like curation too. You always think when you're putting out an exhibition, like the manga exhibition, you want to put everything out. You want all your babies out there, and then people are saying, "Cut it down, cut it down." You think, "No, I can't. Everything has to be there." But actually, it's much better when it's distilled.
流れが見やすくなったりとかするので、そういうことですかね。
やっぱり読者の読む能力っていうのがあるんで、僕らがこう考えているやっぱ読者はとても読む力があるし、頭がとてもいいと思っているんで、はい、とにかく説明しすぎることが失礼に当たるんじゃないかということですね。
Yes, exactly right, Nicole. But it's really to do with the reading abilities of the readers. They are so much more advanced than the creators tend to think they are. Yeah. So, like, they don't really need everything to be explained. So we can rely on their ability to just, like, create the storyline themselves. So that's why it's, it would be impolite to spoon feed everyone, really.
これはまだいい方で、
This is actually not the worst.
本当にダメな時はもうこれですね。もうこれして、next.
So this definitely wasn't the worst one. I mean, like, things could be a lot worse like this.
Yes, a big triangle over the whole page. Yeah. Do you ever take offense? Do you ever?
ちょっとイラッとしたりはしないですか、なんか。
それはいやちょっとショックですけど。
Tiny bit. I am slightly shocked.
でも予感がしてるんですよ。多分ダメだろうなっていう。
But I always have a hunch. I always have a feeling before we begin, and so yeah.
なのでダメだったかと思ってまた次書くだけなので、はい。
僕は彼のためにやってる。
But it's really for you. But this is for you, really.
そうなんです。
So he's like the director of a film.
ってことは映画の監督でいらっしゃる。
いや、そんなことはない。
Yeah, and he's the star.
いや、そうですね。まあはい。
I mean, like, if we were to, place a role within us, probably that's
But I would like to ask, there are many questions I want to ask, but I'd actually like to see some of the drawing and see some of the process. And in particular, what I'm hoping to ask is, how do you draw emotion and expression? We just saw when he was just saying, a little bit irritated at Katsuki-san's, sometimes big triangles. Can you just show us just how you express emotion, particularly maybe through facial characteristics?
はい、これ映ってるかな。
So we can turn off the PowerPoint and then we can switch to, yes,
見えますよね。はい。
the magic of Asia House.
僕が一番気をつけているのは眉毛とあと目。
The two points that I'm most conscious of when I'm drawing and in facial expressions are eyebrows and eyes.
とその距離ですね。
And the distance between them.
で面白いもので顔っていうのはすごく笑ってる顔して泣いてる時もあったりします。
But what's interesting is facial expressions are not. It's not very simple. Some characters are laughing, but they're actually crying as well at the same
う
time.
んまあ、ちょっと描いてみます。
So,
顔、
yep.
どういう顔がいい
But
ですか
I'll start drawing.
どういう
Which expressions would you like to see?
Yeah, let's hear from the audience.
ハッピー
happy?
ハッピーですよね。じゃあね、わかりました。じゃあ、オーディナリーハッピーですね。
Yeah. So this is ordinary happy.
この鼻の穴がね、ちょっと大きくなりますよ。
So,
ハッピーだと。
if somebody's happy, then their nostrils tend to enlarge slightly.
そうですよね、やっぱり。まあ、これがオーディナリーハッピ
So
ー。
this is the ordinary happy.
Okay.
でも、
Now, how?
どんなハッピーがあるかな、他に。
But let.
はい。
なんかこのハッピーというより、what about another emotion? Let's have another emotion. Yes. What? Oh yeah, 酔っ払ってぼーっとしてる酔っ払って。
あ、酔っ払ってる感じですか。いいですね、それは。
He likes
That's
that.
good.
酔っ払ってる顔ですよね。酔っ払ってる顔。ちょっと待ってね。これは難しい
Hold on
な
a。second.
Yeah,
It's quite difficult.
it's more difficult than you think. Yeah.
毎日酔っ払ってるじ
No, but you're getting drunk every day. What's the trouble?
ちょっと待ってね。これ難しいな。まあ、大体酔っ払った時はね、ほっぺた赤くすれば。
So when you're drunk, the faces tend to be flushed,
あとはも
generally
う
speaking.
毛がね、もうちょっとよだれ垂れちゃったりしてさ。
And slight, yeah, drooling.
ちょっとこれあんまり良くない。これ
It might not be the best one that I could do, but it's
酔っ払いね。はい。
he does the drunk.
ちょっとあんまり上手にできませんでした。
Sorry, yeah, it wasn't that great. Sorry.
Wait, one more face, one more face, one more emotion. Ah, yeah.
Drunken is called music, like 自分の音楽に酔っ払ってるような。
おお。
Completely immersed in music. So like, yeah. Or euphoria with music.
いいっつって。あとはもうこうですよね。手組んで。
Yes, so arms together.
胸を張ってですね。酔っ払ってる感じかな。こんなかな、なんか。
A bit like this, maybe?
ね。はいはい。こんなだと思う。
Yeah,
なんとなく。
like this, I think.
Katsuki-san, what do you think?
ゃん。
Yeah. so does it get a triangle or is this okay?
これこっちですか？大丈
そうありがとうございました。あ、どんなこと。ありがとうございます。
Now I have another challenge for you
夫。またもう一個あるんですけど。
about how do you express music, the sound of music. We're talking about immersive sound and basically, you know, we say, まあ、擬音じゃなくて気持ち、you know, the
気持ち
書き持ち。
音が出てる漫画っていうのはたくさんあります。
Yes, there are many mangas with sounds. They're like sound.
例えばスポーツ、サッカーボールを蹴るときとか、あとは野球のボールが当たったときとか、あとはレース F1 のレースだったりモーターサイクルのレース、エンジンの音が出てる漫画があります。
Yes, for example, sports manga. anything to do with football, baseball, any kind of ball hitting either the butt or anything. Like that sound effect is very prominent, but also like in Formula One as well, you would hear the sound of the engines or like in a motor running and the tires. There are lots of sound effects that are essential to manga.
そういう漫画がすごく参考になりました。
Yeah, and those mangas really taught me. They were really, really essential for my learning.
あとは書くときに音なれって思いながら書いてます。
And also, I'm praying almost as I'm drawing, thinking like this, make sure that they really play out in the audience's mind, reader's mind.
はい。
Can you show us an example? Could you draw an example of just some sound?
わかりました。例えば
Sure.
例えばなんですけど、
For example,
そうですね。少し時間がかかります。ごめんなさい。
this might take a while actually, so sorry. But like,
While he's doing this, I just want to ask Ishizuka-san, what about the sound? How do you edit the sound when you're
音の編集に関してちょっとご質問をしたいんですけれども、どうやって編集をされてるんですか、その音っていうか。
when you in his drawings, do you?
音に関して言うとなんていうんでしょう、基本的には石塚さんの仕事になるんですけども、僕がやっぱりチェックするのはそのテンポがいいかどうかっていうネームの段階でまずは。
Yes, so coming up with the sound is really, Ishizuka-san tends to do it by himself, but what I tend to check in the storyboard stages is that if the tempo sounds right, if the rhythm is right in that description.
あとは原稿になった時に本当にその大きな絵がその迫力が足りているのかとか、足りていない場合はもうちょっと手を入れてもらう。
And also especially with the large drawing, if that drawing actually carries the dynamism that's required for that particular sound, that's something that I tend to check as well.
これが今音が鳴ってない状態です。
And this drawing doesn't have a sound at this moment.
で、ここから僕は音なれと思いながら。
And right now I am going to start injecting life into it with my prey of like.
Eric, can we get him to move just a little?
少し紙を押していただいていいですか。こっち。反対。これでいいです。
Yeah, just so we can see it.
これで見えます。これで見えます。
右にかな。
ちょっと右に行っていただき。
紙を。そうですね。
Perfect. What's impressive for me when we were just choosing about manga, and we were really into manga, and we really wanted to have Blue Giant Supreme because it makes you feel the sound, is that the sound that I hear isn't the sound that anyone else hears. We all hear the sound in our own minds. And this is very much different from anime, where the sound is, if Blue Giant Supreme was made into an anime, then you would hear a sound. Everyone would basically, who knows if we experience the same sound, but there is a sound that comes out of the film. But what's so magical about this is that we're creating our own concerts through his lines. It's just kind of magical seeing how it builds up. And what's so impressive to me is it's action painting, really. It's
本当に実際にこの場で描かれているので、本当にそこの動作っていうことが素晴らしいです。
すいませんね、時間がかかって。
Sorry it's taking so long. But
Oh, it's not taking long at all. This is really good.
なんかかかってないですよ。
Because you always imagine someone sketches something out and then fills it all in, but what you're seeing actually is it's different. There's a different process that's going on. It's really more about the overall composition and then filling it in. And I've always felt that Japanese art is performative. There's a performative aspect about it. When you look at manga too, it's incredibly performative, but what is important is it makes those actions happen within you. So even looking here at Miyamoto Dai, we see his pursed lips. He's obviously blowing, and we just kind of almost feel it. You almost feel it like in your body. That's what's so satisfying about this manga.
だいぶこれ第2段階です。
So yeah, this is the second stage. This is in the second stage.
で最後のステージはあっという間です。
And the final stage takes only a matter of seconds.
何をするかというと、
And this is what I do.
汗をかくっていう。
Yeah, and so drawing the sweat in.
あ、鳴った音。
Now it has a sound. Everyone, can you hear it?
まあ本当に僕ができるのは線を描くことだけです。
So really, what I can do in terms of drawing is like drawing the lines in.
なのでその線にちょっと変な話かもしれないですけど気持ちを込めます。
So, but in those lines, I really try and inject life into it one by one. I mean, it might sound arbitrary, but that's what I do.
No, it's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. What we're going to do, though, we're going to have to wind it up in just a moment, but I want to ask one last question, and then we get asked questions from all of you to ask either Katsuki-san or Ishizuka-san. But I want to ask about London, about England, about Miyamoto Dai and Blue Giant Supreme coming to the UK. Is this true? Is this going to happen?
来ます。
Yes, he's coming.
Can you tell us a little bit of the story?
ちょっとそのお話に関して聞かせて。
アーニーの話とかね。
宮本大のライバルのテナーサックスプレイヤーがロンドンの人で、はい、そう。
So Dai Miyamoto has a rival sax player, tenor sax player, and he's based in London.
その彼と対決するためにイギリスにやってくるという。
So to have a playoff with him, Dai Miyamoto is coming to London.
So will the playoff be in London or will it be
ロンドンでやるんですかその
Norwich?
対決。イギリスの他の地域とかノリッチとかじゃなくて。
Not ノリッチです。
No, definitely not Norwich.
どこかロンドンの近くの。
Yeah, but London or the surrounding areas, London.
Ooh, so there's still something to bid for.
なのでじゃあ特定はされないんですね。
はい、
どこの地域かって今の段階で。
これから決めたいと思います。
Yes, we'll decide after this trip.
Actually, I heard that they're going to do a road trip and look and do scouting for sites. So if anyone has any advice afterwards, please
なので
come
他に
and
アイ
say
デアがありま
something.
したら観客の皆さんから言っていただいて。
ああ、なるほど。
So I want to thank both of you for speaking, but you're not off the hook yet
どうもありがとうございます。
because
ただまだ
we
こちら
have
に行っていた
a
だいて。
fantastic audience here, and I think that there are going to be questions, and we have the roving mic. So yes, please. And could you say your name first, and then and then your question?
My question is, have you heard from the fans of the manga? What has from their responses? What are your reactions to when they read the manga? What is your reactions to when they read the manga?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
From the fans reading the manga, do you hear from their responses as they? Yeah.
僕に届く反応は本当になんかありがたい 言葉ばかりです。
Yes, I receive lots of feedbacks from them, but like anything that I hear tends to be very something that really makes me feel so grateful because like it's all warm responses.
すごく勇気をもらってます。
So yeah, so I always get so much courage by listening to
う
them.
ん、ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
どうぞどうぞ。
Yes, please.
What are your favorite tools to use?
So, favorite tools?
Yeah, to use drawing.
使う道具で好きなのは何ですか？
トゥール。ツール。
G ペンとか。
ああ。なんだろうな。
I wonder.
本当は鉛筆かもしれないです。
Maybe pencils actually. I quite like drawing with a pencil.
でもはい。
あ、
そう
ブランド特に
ブランドはですね、これはユニという
ユニ
はい、三菱ユニ、知ってますか？
You know it.
を使ってます。
Yes, I use uni.
はい。
Okay, yeah, well, yes, back, yes, this gentleman.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Manga.
no, go.
Mohammed Seth from Cairo. I am comic creator. So I would love to ask you about the technique which he used in drawing for the environment or the background behind the character. I mean, is matte painting or your self-drawing in the graphic novel? I mean, is it self-drawing or just matte painting? Thank you.
Sorry, what was the
I mean, in the comics itself, they have an environment and the background behind the characters.
Yeah.
So it's self-drawing or the matte painting or photograph, how to, the technique which you use. Thank you.
技術的なことに関してちょっと背景を
例えばベルリンを描かなきゃいけない時は写真を使ってそれをトレースすることはあります。
Yes, in terms of background, if I was drawing about a specific city, for example, Berlin, there are times that I trace the photograph and like and add it as well.
バックグラウンドだけじゃなくて楽器、特にサックスは部品も多いしサイズも間違えちゃダメなので大きな絵は僕がモデルになって写真を撮ってトレースすることもあります。
And not only the city background, but also instruments as well. Like for example, saxophones, especially in a large drawing, I can't really get the scaling wrong, especially because there are so many different components. And so I take photographs, I model it myself, and then take the photograph in the same position, and then trace it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Good question. Okay, way in the back. Yes.
This is for the editor. As an editor, do you choose the mangaka you get to work with, or are they chosen for you? If you choose the mangaka, what made you choose them?
Good question. That's a lovely question.
大体はこう上から言われて担当するんです。
So most of the times, the management team would assign which editor works with which manga artist.
でも新人さんはいっぱいいるので、それは選べる。でもし競合したらじゃんけんで決める。
But there are many emerging manga artists who is looking for the first-time editors. In those scenarios, then like the editors could pick which new manga artists to work with. But if there are some overlaps, then we do stone, paper, and scissors to decide who would get the manga artist.
僕は勝ったから今担当してる。
So I won, obviously. That's why I've gotten Shizuka.
Okay, yes, please, right here with the blue T-shirt.
Hi, my name is Sam Savage. Nice to meet you. So, as a manga that features a lot of different music, what was the hardest instrument for you to portray in manga, and how did you kind of overcome that
その音
personally?
楽を使った漫画の中で一番書くのが難しい楽器って何でしたか？それを特に表現するのも難しかった楽器は何ですかね？
実はピアノはすごい難しいと思いました。
Yeah, in fact, piano is probably one of the most difficult.
僕が全部の楽器をかけるわけじゃないんです。
I couldn't claim to be able to draw all the instruments.
それで一度スタッフの 人にピアノを書いてもらったんです。
I actually asked one of the staff members to draw piano for me.
そしたら全部黒鍵があったんですよ。普通黒鍵って2323ってなってるんですけど、全部黒鍵が。
And he made a mistake of actually adding the black bar in every single like white paper. So it was obviously not a piano.
でそれはちょっと僕は気づけなくて小さいコマだったんで。
And because it was quite a small section, I didn't really pick that mistake up.
なのでパブリッシュされちゃいました。
So it's got published in that state, unfortunately.
まあでも
見逃したの？
So did I miss that too?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He missed it
too. まあでもそうですね。ピアノもドラムも体が動くので。
So yeah, piano and drums as well, and because like players would be moving along as they're playing.
それはすごく表現しやすいです。
So it's actually easier as a form of representation. It's easier to show like what the characters are doing.
でもサックスはほとんど動きがない。
But there is a minimal movement when you're playing saxophone.
なので難しいです。ベースもなかなかアクションが難しい。
So it's quite difficult, and also bass as well, playing a bass.
なのでサックスは本当に体で表現してます。
So, but with saxophone, you have to show through the real movement of the entire body.
はい、僕は本当に見たことがあるサックスフォンプレイヤーがいるんですけど、
And there's a saxophone player that I have seen in real life once.
まあ普通だと大体こういう感じです。
So yeah, this isn't how normal saxophone players will be playing like this.
僕が東京で見たサックスフォンプレイヤーは
And the saxophone player that I have seen in Tokyo once.
こういう人で
Like that, yeah. He would go down to this low.
でもすごく良かった。それがすごくエモーショナルで良かったです。それが
But yeah, but that was great because it captured the emotion completely.
すごく感動しました。
Yeah, that was very moving.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, let's go over here. Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Ilyas. My question is that which manga or mangaka was your first early on inspiration for beginning your journey as a mangaka? And what would you say is your favorite manga currently as of now?
Oh, wow.
と
Nice
して
question.
影響を受けた最初の作品は何ですか？そして今好きな漫画も教えてください。
僕は人間ドラマが書かれている漫画が好きです。
I like manga with like real human drama
しかも今生きている人たちの、ドラマ
and
が
set in contemporary world as well, like not something that's already passed.
ちょっと前の先生ですと千葉哲也先生という方がいましてボクシングの漫画がありました。
So my earlier influences is Tetsuya Chiba. He drew the boxing manga.
はい、あとは広金健志先生という先生がいます。
And also manga artist Kenshi Hirokane.
その人も、人間のドラマを書いてました。すごく尊敬してます。
And he really focused on the human relationships, dramas of it. So and I respect him a lot.
Yes, yeah.
Evening, my name is Jason. My question is, if you're depicting a listener in a panel, how would you portray the genre that they're listening to?
Good question.
すごくいい質問ですね、それ。でも多分ある程度表せると思います。
I think you could show it. It must be. I think it is possible to do that.
例えばクラシックを聴いているオーディエンスとあとパンクを聴いている人だいぶ違うと思います。
Like for example, the audience that's listening to classical music and the audience attending the punk concert. Obviously, they would be quite different, wouldn't they?
なのですごく実はオーディエンスを書くことがとても重要です。
So yes, so it's very important to draw the audience, like bring the audience into the scene in manga.
勝木さんにもよく僕はどうしてもプレイばっかりを書きがちです。
So Katsuki-san's advice a lot focuses on that as well, because I tend to draw a lot on the musicians and them playing.
なので時々三角を描かれて、でそこにお客さんの顔、ここもお客さんの顔っていうふうに指示をもらいます。
So he would sometimes put the big triangle in the storyboard stage and say, no, replace it with the audience reactions, replace it with audience. So yeah.
はい。ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Alex. This is a question for both the editor and for the artist. If this was to be adapted into an anime, would you want the unique visual representation of sound to be kept, even though there would be sound being audible anyway?
アニメになるとしたら、本当にその特別な音の表現がありましたよね。
はい、
あれもキープしたいですか？アニメで音が追加されるとしてもいかがですか？そうしたら。
したいですね。
Yes, yeah, I'd like that to be kept, especially.
You can tell who's the boss.
Yes.
Is there? Oh, yes.
Hello, I'm Vivian.
じゃあ
日本語で大丈夫ですか？
大丈夫です。
聞いてもはい。編集の方に聞きたいのですが、例えば今ビッグコミックの中でこういう新人さんが欲しいというトレンドはありますか？例えばちょっと前までは漫画家漫画みたいなのが流行ってたと思うんですけど、お願いします。
Okay, let me translate the question. So
Sure.
Yeah. The question for an editor, the editor, it's is there any criteria that you're looking for within the big comics right now, like for the new manga artists? Are you because just a while ago, I think everyone's focused on like manga artists being depicted within manga, but now is there any other trend coming?
今も漫画を発表する場所っていうのは無数にあるんで、漫画家さんもとても数が多いんですけれども。
Yes, so just to give you a bit of a background, there are many places that manga artists could publish now. So the number of manga artists have grown. There are many of them.
だから絵が上手い人もとても多いんですけども、やっぱ絵の上手さではなくてちょっとなんだろう、気持ちが優しい作家さんっていうのが欲しいかなと思いますね。
Yes, so there are many who are very skilled at drawings as well, but that's one thing, and obviously skilled drawers are great, but really what we are looking for is somebody who's got like genuine humanity within them, like somebody who's really like who could feel.
おそらくその方が長続きすると思うので。
And I believe that's very important in terms of longevity for their career as well.
とてもその優しい人です。
And Ishizuka Sun is definitely got that definitely you've got that. Yeah, he's very kind.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name's David. Thanks for coming to London. When we dream, the characters who feature in our dreams are often based, often friends and family. And I'm just wondering, do you ever dream like in the style of manga? And do the characters appear in that style?
Fantastic.
Yeah, and sorry, also follow-up question, do you ever dream manga storylines?
今まで漫画のキャラクターが夢に出たことはないんですけど、この人が出てきたことはあります。
I've never had my manga characters appear in my dream, but Katsuki-san does appear in my dream.
それで大体が原稿締め切り間に合わなかったっていうシチュエーションです。
And most of the situation that he comes in is like that I didn't make the deadline, so he would come into my dream. That's always the situation.
それでそれがすごく怖いんですけど、その夢の中だとすごく優しいです。
And it's really it's the most scary situation, obviously, not making the deadlines. But he's strangely kind in my dream in that scenario.
In his dream.
怖いけど。
Yeah. And so it's really just that contrast is always really scary.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You couldn't make it. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Is that true?
いやいや
一度も落としたことないです。
Yeah, I've never missed a deadline, just so you know. I've never missed it.
まあ落としたら多分怒ると思います。
If he missed it, then I don't think I'd let that go. I don't think I'd be that, the dream version.
But do you think about the latter part of the question is, do any of the storylines, even with Katsuki, not just Ishizuka-san, but Katsuki-san, the storyline for the theme, do you ever see that in your dreams?
その夢の中で先の話の展開が見えたりすることはありますか？
ないです。
No, I don't. I don't see it. No.
でも見たいですね。
But I'd like to see it actually.
そう見たい僕も見たいです。
Yeah, me too. I'd like to see it too.
Okay, we have a chance for one last question. Okay, yes, please. Wait, hold on. I think it's coming to you.
Hello. Just out of interest, as a jazz fan, how would you perhaps canvas or draw a sort of real jazz star playing? So, for example, if you were to draw John Coltrane himself playing, how would you canvas or draw that to express the emotion of hearing John Coltrane?
Thank you.
あ、それはあります。すごく例えば僕がブルージャイアントを書いてる時もどんな音楽なのかっていうのをスタッフたちも一緒に仕事しているんで実際に流します。ジョンの音楽を流したりしてあ、こういう音楽なんですねっていうことはよくやります。はい。
Yes, we do that actually, because I'm not just drawing by myself. I've got other staff members who are helping me. So to explain exactly what music we are depicting, we are trying to represent. I do play his music, for example, with the scene of John Coltrane, and then all the staff members would actually get the essence of it. Oh, I see. So it sounds like this, and then we would start drawing. So that's what we do.
はい。
Well, thank you very much.
いやありがとうございました。
先生。
どうも本当ありがとうございます。どうもありがとうございました。嬉しい。
And thank you all. We have, please feel free to look at some of the books. We're hoping there's going to be an English version soon. We have to have a groundswell for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our speakers for this evening. Please do buy the book next door. And Ishizuka Shinichi and Katsuki San will also be signing copies in the adjacent room. Thank you very much.